And it's lovely to have you back this time for the Land Rover Horse Metre 2025. Thank you for joining us on Sky Sport Next. We've had a great day bringing you the Metre 30 to 35 final and the 40 to 45. We've been lucky to have jump-offs for both classes, and they've been fiercely contested. But now we have the Land Rover Horse Metre 20 to 25. And first in the arena, we welcome Samantha the Dachshund, written by Annie Moffat, and they come from Napier. Annie is just 14 years of age, and this Pinto mare, stands at 163 centimetres and 9 years of age, a station bred by Omega. And they've had some wonderful wins this season, some Metre 20 wins, Metre 15 wins, so this is a combination that has certainly been on form. And we've been really lucky to have some guest commentators with us today, and we have an absolute legend in the commentary box with us, Harry, as he's affectionately known, or Noel Harris. Noel, you have been the leading Group 1 winning jockey. I mean, what can I say about you? A legend.
Yeah, no, thank you, Karen. No, I'm just fortunate that I come from a racing family, and there's 4 of us boys rode, and got 2 sisters rode, so my father rode, my uncle, so I've got in the genes, I think, Karen.
Definitely in the blood, I'd say that for sure. And what brings you out to the Easter Jumping Festival this weekend? Because it's not exactly racehorses.
No, exactly. I got home from Millersley races last night, and my wife Kylie said to me, we're off to Taupo for the equestrian. I said, what?
No rest for the wicked.
No, and actually her cousin, her cousin's daughter lived Texarkana. She was riding here today, and so we come down to catch up with the Rillies.
And look, it's been lovely having you here, and we've just seen that first round there, 20 faults unfortunately, but now we welcome into the arena Madeline Woods, and she sits aboard Playmaker. Madeline's actually come all the way from Christchurch. She's a 17-year-old student at Rangiruru Girls' School. I actually went to that school a few years before her. Good girls' school down there. Produces some riders. But it's lovely to have Madeline up here. She rides the 17-year-old Black Gelding. Now, this is the interesting thing. We see a lot of thoroughbred bloodlines that come through in show jumping, and this here happens to be a thoroughbred by Brocco. To give us your take on the thoroughbred as a breed.
Yeah, no, they are very excitable. That's why they're good at running, and but you can cross certain breeds and you can get the finer tuned ones, but the race horses are very highly strung sort of animals, and quite a few go on to be good show jumping, and but race days, they show it on race day how you get that, they get excited, and I think with the right trainer you can really turn them into a nice equestrian horse.
And you can see this horse here just running through the hand a little bit for Madeline. There's a bit of whoa going on there. It is lovely to see these horses start their career as one thing, and obviously being taught to race and win races is a very different training than being taught to do this in show jump.
Exactly. You can see how this horse is sweating up quite a bit, which a lot of the race horses do. It's a tension thing, and but it's actually nice to see ex-race horses go on to doing show jumping and that. And, as you said, probably not all race horses are going to turn into equestrian horses, but you're going to get the odd one or two that are really going to shine.
And it's been wonderful seeing them, of course, in the sport of eventing. Many years ago, the Kiwi thoroughbred used to dominate that sport, and we still see a lot of the foundation mares at studs for sport horses. We saw that in the earlier 2 classes, lots of Grosvenors and these names that come up that were successful race horses, but certainly have stamped the sport horse world. Yeah,
well, a lot of the, as you said, with the thoroughbreds, they've got the stamina and the speed. But as you said, a lot of the Clyde Cross breeds, it's all about their temperament and that, and it's with racehorses too. The quieter you can get them, I think, the more response you can get out of them, and the longevity is greater.
That's a very interesting, which I'm going to get to. That is very interesting when you talk about being quiet and calm, because you certainly see that in show jumping as we welcome Sophia Maud aboard Soho into the arena. A 12-year-old skewbald mare at 156 centimetres by the sport horse stallion Brood Too Hot, who has produced some really lovely coloured horses. And this horse has certainly had a great season with quite a few wins in the metre 5 building up to this event. Now, you mentioned even the racehorses. So for people who aren't familiar with training racehorses, the calmer you can get them, the better the racehorse. Why is that?
It's just it's the same with stress with human beings, and as a cool, calm collective, you're going to probably last a lot longer. But yeah, from the early ages, 2-year-olds, these young horses, they're prepped up to train and run fast, and they have barrier trials, and when I was an apprentice, actually a lot of 2-year-olds never raced. A lot of trainers didn't race a lot of 2-year-olds. They'd sort of wait till they're till 3, till they're a bit more mature. But now the money's so great that there's huge money out there for 2-year-olds to be won, and there's no patience like they used to have.
And you certainly do see that, don't you, in the world? You have the trainers with patience and then the ones that just want to push on through. But I tell you what, here we see a well-known show jump rider who's ridden up to 1.60 metre. This is Carissa McCall, and she hails from Taupaki. Now, she's actually a professional owner of many horses, and most of us who know Katie Laurie, who's based overseas, Carissa has many horses over there with her, and they are winning massively on an international stage. So Katie is sitting aboard Carissa's horses, lovely support from this family for Katie as she wins many a title overseas. But this is a 15-year-old chestnut gelding. It's a thoroughbred warm blood cross by Camelot Ego Z out of a newsprint mare. And we see this time and time again, as you said before, Harry, that good stamp of a thoroughbred blood in many of our sport horses. And mentioned before, so you say a calmness of a racehorse is what you're looking for. So if people were to go to the races, should they be looking at in the bird cage for the quiet, calm ones to put their money on? I
think so. It's a great nail in racing that if you see a horse sweating up, back off it.
Right.
But yet when I rode in Singapore, they love the free sweating horses, and with the heat over there, you want them to sweat, but yet here in New Zealand or Australia, I think the calmer, that was a bit unfortunate.
That was an unfortunate. You could just see him looking a little bit at that. And of course, if you ride horses, occasionally you come off. You'd be no stranger to that. Have you had some falls in your career?
Yeah, I was very fortunate. The worst fall I had, I come off after the race and the horse stood on me and I broke 3 ribs, punctured a lung, but the rest of my injuries were mainly just torn muscle. I had another apprentice mate of mine, Gus Clutterbuck. He had about 25 falls. He would have broken every bone in his body except his neck, so broke his pelvis twice. So some jockeys can be accident prone, Karen.
Yes, well, when you're dealing with a 500-600 kilo animal at speed, sometimes you can have the most horrendous falls and walk away, and other times not so much. But luckily, Carissa just holding her shoulder there, she did seem to hit it hard, but thank goodness she's up.
Yeah, exactly. My boy, when he first started riding, he was riding at Wairoa. Yeah. I wasn't there this day, and I was watching the race and seen this all fall, and I thought, oh my God, it's Troy. And another jockey rang me, says, oh, Harry, he's just broken a leg. So I thought, that's not too bad. And 2 minutes later, he's rung, he's broken both legs. So broke both femurs.
Oh, no.
But within 3 days, they had him up, titanium rods. They had him up showering, and it's just amazing what they can do nowadays with medical.
It is amazing how they put us back together. I don't think the ACC in New Zealand like us horse riders very much, but they somehow do take good care of us.
But in saying that, I think statistics-wise, with all the racing we have in equestrian and compared probably to rugby and that, I'd like to know the figures.
Yes, it would be interesting. I remember once being told horse riding and rugby was right up there, and then motorbikes.
Motorbikes, exactly.
But, we do these things to have fun, and like with everything, there's highs and lows. And Sally Steiner, a very, very experienced rider, we've seen her out earlier today, but anyone who's been show jumping for a length of time knows Sally and her husband Philip. They come from Tauranga, and this is a lovely horse called Lord Rendition WS. It's a warm blood by Lordano. Now, Lordano is a phenomenal sire who has sired many horses. And the beautiful thing about Sally, which you'll see here, Harry, is she's notoriously well known for producing these very calm, focused, schooled-looking horses.
Yeah. As I said, you get a lot of top horse trainers, in the gallops, and you get the best of the best, and they just got that way with horses, and it just shows in them. As you said, to me as a jockey, I think if you can get a nice, calm, collective horse, gives you a lot of confidence too as a jockey.
Yes, exactly. You feel like the horse is in tune with you rather than distracted by what's going on around.
Well, you can get the odd rogue sort of a horse that makes them pretty good. That's a lot of trainers will persevere with them, but they've just got that attitude. It's probably, human terms that as humans we've all got attitudes, and some are worse than others.
This is certainly true. I think we can all vouch for that. But that was a really unfortunate one rail down there for Sally. So we'll be still looking for that elusive clear round as we welcome Tim Wilson into the arena now aboard Macmillan's Chuck. Now, Tim has amazing parents who are also very successful in the sport, and it's great to see him out and about competing as well. They're from Waipak. He's a 17-year-old keen hockey player as well. He's passionate about his hunting, but loves all kind of farm work, and of course loves his horses. And this is a New Zealand sport horse by Mustang Sammy out of Wits Way, an 11-year-old skewbald standing at 165 centimetres. An early rail down there for Tim. If we compare this to racing, say the jump you get out of the gates, does that sometimes not go to plan, and how do you recover and carry on with the plan?
You always tell the apprentices plan B. Most trainers, you want to jump out and lead or be handy. When you get those instructions, 9 times out of 10 it'll go the other way, so you've got to have your plan B. It's hard not to ride a horse with a different pattern. If a horse likes jumping, going fast early, loves running in front, you'll get the occasional time a trainer will want you to ride it back in a race, see whether it can run home. But I've seen a lot of good horses that naturally are leaders, but the odd time they've missed the jump, they've been ridden back and they can still win. So it's a nice thing to have, that you can have a horse can win in front or from behind.
And how many Group 1 wins have you had, Harry?
Over about 44 Group 1s. I had the opportunity to ride 3 years in Singapore, Australia, Hong Kong, and there was a time that I was keen probably to go over and ride overseas, like Jimmy Cassidy and Shane Dyes and the James McDonalds, but I was in that position. I had the best of both worlds. I could get a good horse in New Zealand and go over and do the carnivals, and that sort of suited me.
And that's the great thing. Same with the show jump riders, they take them all around the world, and it certainly is a great sport to be involved with. Unfortunately, Tim there didn't go clear, having 20 jump penalties, but we do welcome Danielle Stanaway aboard the Invisible Man. Now, Danielle's from Tauranga. She's an owner-manager of the Saddlery Warehouse there. And this is an 8-year-old grey gelding, thoroughbred by Any Suggestion. Have you had any run-ins with Any Suggestions yourself?
Yeah, no, they're going well on the racetrack. Any Suggestions? As you said, there's quite a lot of new stallions out at the moment, and but they have been successful.
And certainly this is a young horse that, quite a striking horse, being the greys. They always stand out in the racing field, don't they?
Yeah, they do. I've had some good favourites over the years, grey horses, and there's a champion horse named Horlick, so I had 2 rides on her, and she ended up winning the Japan Cup. But, just greys just seem to have something about them, don't they?
They certainly do. And what would be your favourite race if you were to pick one?
The Melbourne Cup.
That's a good one.
I had about 12 rides in that, and I was lucky enough to have a second, a third, a couple of fourths, and now it's just an honour to get a ride in a race like that. But the Cox Plate's my biggest race I won, so a jockey's dream is to win a Melbourne Cup, but second best is a Cox Plate. So.
And then second in the Melbourne Cup.
Yeah, second was, I was a bit sad for my dad because I was favourite. I was 18 at the time.
Wow.
And yeah, I got beaten probably half a head, and I was sad for my dad that he probably wasn't going to have another horse that was good enough to go to a Melbourne Cup. Yet I was 18 at the time, and I was going to get more opportunities, and so la vie. And when I went back to Australia, they'd say, "You're the kid that got beat on Glengowan."
Oh no. Oh, but I tell you what, second in the Melbourne Cup, it would be disappointing, but wow, what a race to ride in, what an atmosphere. As we welcome Rose Alfeld back into the arena now, this time aboard Footloose NZPH. This horse just 6 years of age at 165 centimetres by the sport horse Quintus out of a Calvaro Z mare. And they've had a really good season. They've had a win in the Ultramox 6-year-old series. They've also had wins in Canterbury leading up and including the Christmas Cracker as well. This young rider comes from, or 25-year-old rider, no longer a young rider, but was a successful young rider, hails from Leaston in Canterbury. So again, like jockeys that travel around between the North and South Island, we see the same here with a lot of South Islanders heading north. You're now a trainer of jockeys, apprentice jockeys. Do you see a lot travelling around within the country?
Yeah, well, at the moment we've got two apprentices, Hazel Chauffeur and Cosy Asano. One's in the CD, one's down south, and they're vying for the premiership. And they're doing a lot more travelling now than they probably normally would. But up north here I've got about 20 odd apprentices, and I've got about 6 there up in the top, probably 50 jockeys. So it's good to see those young ones coming through and being able to travel and better their careers by their bosses letting them ride outside and giving them that profile. And yeah, we've got some really nice talent.
And we certainly have some nice talent in the show jumping world coming through too. As unfortunately, though, we are yet to find that clear round, but we have many more to go in this class. 52 combinations in total as we welcome Charlize Clark aboard Old King Cole. Charlize comes from Pukekawa, and this is her third season competing in show jumping. And she has been to Horse of the Year in 2019 and 2020, and she was placed in every class she entered in 2020, so that is quite an accomplishment. But this is an 11-year-old bay gelding, thoroughbred by Brilliance, another well-known stallion.
Yeah, Brilliance, yeah, they go all right. It's quite funny actually. You can get a lot of stallions that leave a lot of winners, but they can always leave one champion or one horse that can level up to group races, and it's quite a strange phenomenon actually.
And it's interesting, you've got nature versus nurture. You can breed a horse, but then you've got to train it. What do you think has the most impact into producing a champion racehorse? Do you think it's more its breeding or more the training and development?
I think personally it's the breeding. It's having that X factor. It's like good jockeys, good rugby players. I think it's bred into them, but I think a trainer can actually get more out of certain horses than some other trainers, whether they click with them. And I've had a lot of top horses that Morris Beetson threw up with him in Woodville, Dannyburg.
He's a great. I love Maury because he's just been around forever. And he's had 204 Grand Prix wins. So like you're talking about X Factor,
yeah.
Here's a man with X Factor. And here he is, he's had probably more rides this weekend than people, a fraction of his age, quite frankly, and look at him.
Exactly. He was, when I was an apprentice, he was the clerk of the course at
really?
Woodville and Piateur, and yeah.
Yes, a great horsey family, involved in hunting, and like you said, clerk of the course as well. Those lovely grey horses who often start off as thoroughbreds racing and then maybe go to hunting and then end up clerking the courses. That must be quite a training to take a horse that you've taught to run, get to the front, and then to teach it to sit back and let the field run past it. How do they teach them to do that?
Well, guys like Morris here, he can get the best out of horses, and like Ellerslie, they have all grey horses, and it's a fantastic sight, especially Derby Day, Auckland Cup Day. You see all these white Clark the Core horses, and these riders, they know how to get the best out of these horses.
Well, you'd know Ross Coles.
Ross Coles, yeah, and I was talking to him yesterday at Ellerslie races, and his brother Alan, he's a steward, race day, Alan.
Yes, wonderful to see these people who've been, like Ross has been a judge, very involved in show jumping, very involved in hunting, and of course clerk of the course at Ellerslie. I mean, these people make it their entire life, but to be able to do such a variety, unfortunately for Maury, that wasn't the best round for him today, but still he'll be back and he'll go home. And
yeah, a lot of the jockeys actually, they think these guys, clerk of the course, are fantastic because issues on race day, the clerk of the course is always there to help you, and there's a time I've seen 6 of them jumping the inside fence onto the course proper.
Oh, really? That is a sight.
Yeah, it was fantastic, yeah. But that's what they can do, so...
Yes, anyone who's witnessed that and a runaway horse in racing in the clerk of the course, you can in fact Google it. You'll see some incredible saving rides there as we welcome Michelle Wakeling aboard BMW Sharko Lily. This is a 6-year-old grey mare, New Zealand warm blood by Sharko Silva, who's a stallion who's certainly having a few nice young ones coming through in New Zealand. And this horse has had a pretty good season with a 6-year-old win, an amateur win as well for Michelle, and a metre 10 win, so coming in with good form. And is that something you look for in racing as well? You always see their form if you're going to pick a winner. How important is the build-up, not peaking too soon?
Yeah, no, exactly. It's doing your form, and it's hard to get these apprentices to try and read form. A lot of them think it's easy, just get on the fastest horse and you win, but by doing your homework you can read another jockey where he's going to be in the race, and even though a lot of the time it doesn't work that way, but it's nice to be in front of the ball and have a plan, try and work out, but always have your options open.
We were talking before how with these riders there's a million things going through their mind. They have a plan, but they go into the ring and things can change. But there's still, we've got an elusive clear round. Well, that's brilliant. There were some moments there, and she'll be very pleased with that. So we just need another and we'll have our jump off. But the interesting thing with racing is, like you said, you're with a whole group of other people and horses. And not only do you have your plan, but then all that can change because you don't know what everyone else's plan is. You've got to read the moment. How do you train jockeys to not only have the physical capabilities, but then the mental ability to become a winner?
Yeah, well, this is part and parcel of that X factor of jockeys that can read a race, good, natural, they click into it straight away. Some other jockeys can take a lot of time to come to it. But I think personally it's reading horses, that they're like human beings, and some jockeys can naturally hop on a horse. They don't have to actually be involved in racing all their life to get on with a horse. And some people just don't know how good they are with animals, And all of a sudden they surprise themselves and say, well, how do I do that?
There is certainly that wonderful affinity that anyone who's been near a horse, even people who don't ride and they feel that connection with them, they're a magical animal. And they do a lot of good in the world for a lot of people, as we see a double shot in the arena now with Isabel Saxton aboard. This is a 15-year-old brown Clydie cross gelding, 165 centimetres. And we see a lot of these Clydie crosses. They're hunting, they're eventing, they're show jumping. They just have that solid breed of the Clydie mixed with a little bit more athleticism of the thoroughbred. Oh,
exactly. I can remember my first hunt, just the Clydie crosses. I jumped 2 live wires. Mind you, I had a flask of gin.
Always helps.
Always helps. But, fantastic. I've never seen a horse, those horses that are bomb-proof, you just feel, you feel safe.
They're so calm and methodical in their thinking, and you feel like you can lock in with them, and they're on your team. They're a wonderful breed of horse.
They are. They're just wonderful, especially all my life, riding thoroughbreds every morning. You track working them, and they're jogging, and they're always on the go. And then to hop on something like this, it's like
it's like sitting on a couch. You can just relax.
Exactly.
Pop out your hip flask and have a good time. Now we have Beth Osborne aboard Royal Lavado VW. Beth comes from Auckland. She's a 17-year-old, and this is her first, or 18-year-old. It's her first season of show jumping, having started as a 17-year-old. Unfortunately, the 7-year-old Bay Gelding, crossbred by Showtime Lavado GNZ, bred by Vicky Wilson, didn't actually quite like the look of fence 3 there. So with a refusal and popping the fence off, that's just a ring of the bell and then a rebuild. And then the bell will go again. There will be obviously some toe faults as well as the 4 faults for the refusal. We have that one clear round that Michelle gave us earlier with BMW Chaco Lily. But a good jump there on the second attempt down to that double.
Yeah, it's got a nice jump in it, isn't it?
You see a lot of these horses giving it some air. There's a good square oxide there. And then jumping in the indoors. This might be the first weekend that these horses and riders have ever been indoors, and it really does. I guess there's no racing tracks indoors, so you wouldn't have to worry about that.
We just got a new synthetic track at Cambridge.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So, and it's going to be in a couple of months' time, we're going to have our first race meeting there, so be interesting to see how it rides. And
so how do you think that will go for the horses, synthetic versus your normal?
They've actually
turf?
had trials on it, and a lot of horses probably going to suit it better than others. Some horses aren't going to like it because they've got overseas tracks the same, and so it's going to be interesting. Apparently it runs better with more rain on it, which New Zealand's prone to rain.
Just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
And what's the idea behind that? Do they think it's beneficial for the horses? Or?
I think it's more that we've got a lot of tracks in New Zealand here that, with all our rain we get, a lot of meetings can be called off if the track's too slippery or it's had too much rain and a safety factor. So with the synthetic, it's going to drain better, and apparently with more rain, the better it rides. So that's what we're looking at. And you're not going to probably get the best horses racing on it, but you're going to get your average horses racing and run more meetings through a year.
And that's the interesting thing, that these equestrian activities are always evolving, aren't they? There's new things always coming in as we welcome Rosanna Dixon aboard DSE Exuberance. Now they come from Cambridge, and Rosanna is a regional sales manager there. In 2020, it was their first season together, and they competed in the Pro-Am Series, which is a seriously well-contested event, the Amateur Series. And she's really enjoying this horse, a 10-year-old chestnut gelding at 163 centimetres. He's a warm blood. So he's had some wins this season, the Great Lakes here in Taupo. He's had a win at Wood Hill Sands in the 15 to 20, and then in January again this year had another win there. So a horse that's doing well, but unfortunately, maybe a bit like racing into the season, do horses get a little bit tired?
Yeah, they do. I found when I was an apprentice, when my dad trained, and they'd give them four races and then ease up, put them out in the paddocks for 3 months, spilling, and nowadays they don't seem to spill them as much. Probably more competition. A lot of trainers are scared they're going to end up in a different stable if they don't continue racing. They're racing for big money, so yeah, a lot have changed over the the last 30 years, and it's just interesting to see that Kiwis were great to put them out in the paddock for the grass, and now a lot of trainers, they'll just box them most of the day and just feed them hay and grain. So just different tactics in training.
And we've certainly seen that change over the years as well. And now we welcome Catherine Alabaster into the arena on Haupuri Ferrari NZPH. This is a 6-year-old chestnut gelding by Canaan. Wonderful stallion. That Canaan has some very successful show jumpers. And this horse himself has had some wins, including in the 6-year-old series and out of the Cab d'Ola du Talard. on the mare side. So again, a purpose-bred NZPH horse, which we expect from that incredible stud. And a lot of these riders, we've seen horses that are imports. They've come from around the world, Europe, America, quite a few from Australia. And similarly, we take our Kiwi horses overseas. What is the difference as a jockey when you take your horse overseas? You've got a big race coming up. There's so many more factors. What are the things you have to consider from the horse's point of view?
I think, it's a homesickness too. They're like human beings, and you've got to have the right environment for them. As I said, like a lot of Kiwi horses used to be paddock trained and all that. When you went overseas, they didn't have the paddocks to get used to. They had to be boxed, and a lot of our horses didn't like it. But nowadays we train them that since they were yearlings, they used to being boxed, and so it's just a way of keeping up with the world. And as I said, the money's overseas, and to be competitive there, you've got to sort of train on a similar basis. But you've got to have the right horse too. They've got to be able to run fast. And
well, it's interesting you said homesickness. I've never heard that in relation to a horse. So you actually feel the homesickness. They miss home. They miss the familiarity of their routine and their stable.
I had a horse. I rode Castletown. He was a champion. He won 3 Wellington Cups. He won an Auckland Cup. He won in Sydney. He ran 3rd in the Melbourne Cup. But when I rode him in Australia, I just knew he was homesick. And when he got home, he just burst out of his bubble and he showed it. But in saying that, he still competed. He still won the St. Leger in Aussie. He won a Caulfield Stakes. But when it comes to the Melbourne Cup, Caulfield Cup, he felt a little bit flat, and you could just see it in his eyes, I got so close to him, and I knew exactly. And the day he hopped off the float back in New Zealand, you could just see the sparkle.
Oh, that's a lovely story. That's very sweet to think of horses having that same feeling that we do, because we've all experienced homesickness. As we welcome Madison Smith into the arena aboard Dodge NZPH. This is an 8-year-old gelding, 167.5 centimetres, a sport horse by Quintus. Madison comes from Cambridge, and she's actually studying to be a vet nurse there. So we see a lot of these riders. Now, do a lot of jockeys, we see riders here, they will have the sport of show jumping, which is very time consuming, but they often they're a student or they have another full-time job. Do you see that so much in the jockey world?
Yeah, it's virtually 100% being a jockey. You start off with a probationship, then an apprenticeship. It takes 4 years, and you've got to show a lot of dedication. Not hard work, Karen, but it's just long hours. But I'm pleased you brought that up, because a lot of these riders here, I think a lot of horse trainers would love to get hold of them just for track wet riders, because they can get up to $10 to $20 a horse. You can earn $200 a morning just track wet riding.
Right.
So it's a really good earn nowadays, and but with an apprentice, it's just the fact that they won't get paid until the end of 4 years. Their money's kept for them, but they do get a wage from the trainer, but they probably can call on it if they're going to buy a house or put a deposit on a house or a car. But it's a good way probably to help them save for the future.
And that's why that's in there, to help them?
Help them, but probably if you had a smart accountant, might be able to do it better for you, but it's just a way of trying to help the young apprentices to...
It's like an extra KiwiSaver.
Yeah, it is. That's how you sort of can work it.
It's an excellent plan. And now we welcome Rachel Malcolm into the arena, and she's riding Perseus MVNZ. We've still just got that one clear round, and unfortunately Rachel, with all her experience, is not going to add that for us today. But she lives in Cambridge, and with her husband John, they break in and work with horses, breaking in thoroughbred horses and pre-training for the racing industry. And this horse here happens to be a Holsteiner by Baloo du Roo out of Chin Chin. So again, another lovely purpose-bred horse from Mount View Sport Horses. And we see a lot of large sport horse studs, but there's some huge racing studs, and everywhere you drive around the country you see the magnificent entrances, the beautiful post and rail a lot of them have, and then the wonderful paddocks of mares and foals. It's still a very big industry in New Zealand.
Yeah, it's just wonderful, eh? You go to those studs and do an amazing job. We can compete with the best in the world, and it's really good to see. Ever since I was an apprentice, seeing those studs and that, it was just an eye-opener. but the breeders, they do so much for racing.
Yes, there's certainly a lot that goes into producing a horse, from conception right through to the sales, and then obviously producing a horse that's able to win for a talented jockey on the track. There's a lot that goes into it. You know, much like these sport horses here. And Logan Massey is a young rider who's had some title wins, and he's very, very dedicated. Speak of a hard-working man. This time we see him on his grey mare, Florence, who is a 6-year-old standing at 167.5. And this horse is by Lord Lorino. Titch, Logan actually runs a farm called Massey Agri Business. So he's a very, very busy rider because he has a massive farm to run as well, and a very hard-working young man. And many wins under his belt.
Yeah, impressive looking horse too, isn't he?
Very impressive. Again, a grey. Caught your eye?
Caught your eye. And they seem to go whiter as they age.
Yes, definitely. There's a few that are born black with maybe 1 or 2 white hairs under the eye, and then they end up like this.
Yeah, exactly.
But Logan's from Danny Verk, and he actually worked and trained in Europe on and off for 4 years, and we've seen a lot of our riders be sent offshore for some wonderful training. Do we see that in the jockey world?
Mainly Australia. See, like James McDonald, he was our champion apprentice here, and he went over there, and he's controlling all the big stuff at the moment, James, and you got Jimmy Cassidy, Shane Dyes. You know, we've got riders that are so talented that they can ride anywhere in the world and compete. So at the moment we've got Opie Bossum, but he's our champion rider, and he's a bit similar to myself, a bit of a home boy, but he can still go to Australia and compete on the world stage. And yeah, and when it comes to horses, Kiwis can take a bow. Karen, it's wonderful to see that we're great horse people.
Definitely, you can think of one absolute legend or more than that in every single horse sport that springs to your mind straight away. And great people to know as well, dedicated, hard-working. We certainly see that across all the sports as we see Rose Windross into the arena now, Double J Calvin. Rose is 17 years of age, and she lives in Auckland and currently is enjoying riding at the junior rider level. This is her 8-year-old bay gelding standing at 162 centimetres, a New Zealand sport horse by Double J Reparage, bred from the Double J stables. And a couple of early rails down.
Just remembered when I was an apprentice, and next door to our stable in Woodville, there was this farm, about 100 acres, that my dad used to train for Mr. Smith, and we used to have the hunts there with the hounds. And I tell the story that every time I jumped the fence, I couldn't see what was on the other side.
Yep, well, there's always great stories with that. So you enjoyed hunting when you were young and growing up?
Yeah, exactly. It was like in those days, there was no laws. When I say no laws, there's no health and safety, and it was just fun and games, and hold on and enjoy.
Yeah, doesn't matter what's on the other side. If you get there, you'll find out.
Yeah, exactly. And no, it was a great upbringing, especially in a place like Woodville, and as you said, Morris Beach, I think it's from Dannyville, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, that's right. Yeah, a wonderful way to grow up as a kid with access to horses and open paddocks and no one really knowing what you're up to. That was what the olden days used to be like. And now we have Zoe Shaw aboard Quainton Labyrinth. Zoe comes all the way from Ashburton, and her horse today is a 13-year-old bay gelding, quite tall at 177.5 centimetres, a German sport horse by Lancelot Quainton. And she's had some firsts at 1.20 metre, one in January just this year in the Ashburton area. So great to see another South Island rider making the big commitment to head up to the North Island. It's a bit of time away from home and quite an expense. And lovely to see Zoe also heading up here and competing at the Easter Jumping Festival. If you're just joining us, this is the Land Rover Horse Meter 2025 $10,000 final. And we've been so lucky to have Harry, Noel Harris, jockey extraordinaire with many Group 1 wins and a Cox Plate win and a second in the Melbourne Cup. And we've been so lucky to have him share his insight in a sport that's similar in some ways, but quite different in many others.
Thank you for that, Gary.
So we'd love to see a jump off. We have 52 combinations in this class. We've been lucky to have jump offs in the other classes that we've brought to you today on Sky Sport Next. But unfortunately, only one so far that's been clear. But I'm sure we've got quite a few riders ahead of us, and they will be putting the pressure on now to hopefully be clear. Now, Maury Beatson's wonderful partner, Sally Clark, we have here riding Victoria's Secret. Wonderful to see such a support, Sally herself being a medalist at the Olympics and eventing.
Exactly, it's the Mark Todds in it, you know, you take your hat off to them. And I just talked to Matt Cameron before, and he's got his jockey licence on hold, and Jonathan Riddell, he's riding, his daughter was competing today, and I just said, you know something, I'd love to ride at badminton, and I'd love to do the cross country.
Yeah.
And they just looked at me and said, really?
Give me a good horse and strap me on.
Yeah, just give me a horse. And no, I've always been, I just loved the show jumping ever since I was a kid.
Yes, it's a wonderful sport, isn't it? And I mean, any sport with an animal that you get to work with is rewarding, has its ups and downs. But
it's not an easy game, you know, because these jockeys, riders, have got to rate their horses into the fence. They've got to make that horse feel comfortable,
and at the end of the day, you're asking them to do something which instinctively is very foreign.
Very foreign for them, exactly. Yeah. But it's wonderful, you know, kindness to a horse, what they'll do for you.
And this one we see Sally on is a 14-year-old black mare, 165 centimetres by Hey Baba Reba, out of a distal fink mare, which is a very well-known warm blood line here in New Zealand, but unfortunately another fourth vaulter, so we don't quite get to welcome Sally back for a jump off. Would have been nice. But now we have Rachel Bentle, and Rachel lives in Hamilton. She's a doctor and a registrar at Waikato Hospital. She rides SB Attitude, so, you know, 9-year-old bay mare, 170 centimetres, another one by Lordano. But how busy do you think this young lady is? She's a doctor and she rides.
Yeah, well, it is busy, isn't it? You know, I'm actually, I can remember back when I was an apprentice, I'm more busier now than when I was an apprentice back in those days, that you thought, you've got to work hard to get on in this world. But I think time has got busier.
It certainly has. I think we can all attest to that. I think anyone who's got horses and work and a career as well, it is quite difficult to juggle the two, but obviously Rachel is doing a good job of that.
Well, it's a full-time job, and the horses are like kids.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, and it's the same when I rode. It's just never-ending racing, and you're only as good as your last winner, and you can try and celebrate a success, and then it's the same old story next week, the same thing. You can't let your guard down, and it's just never end. If you don't take a holiday, you never get a holiday, you know. And it just seems to be time-consuming. But it's a game you choose to, you select that you love and you're passionate about, and it wins, doesn't it?
Definitely, and that's what we see in these riders, you know, that passion, and especially with the riders like Maury Beatson, who then come, and Tony and Colin McIntosh, who give more back to the sport, you know, when they're riding, and then they give it back in terms of putting on events like this, helping and supporting young riders and supporting shows. It's wonderful to see that.
You get the likes of Kenny Brown. He was 70 when he unfortunately had his accident, but he was quite happy amateur riding, and everybody said, you're too old, but the more they said he was too old, the more determined he was, and
fired him on.
Yeah, just fantastic, you know.
That's what we like to see. You're never too old. And Natalia Lammers now aboard Absolute NZPH from Whangarei. She's 18 years old and she's a professional show jumper. She currently has a team of 6 horses and she loves bringing on her own ones as well as riding at junior and younger rider level. This horse is a 10-year-old bay gelding sport horse by Rubini, standing at 165 centimetres. And they've had a good win just last month at Woodhill Sands with a win in the Metre 20 Championship. And how do you help your jockeys? Same in the world of show jumping, there's good and there's bad. Don't get too excited with the good days, don't get too down with the bad. How do you help jockeys deal with the ups and downs of working with horses?
Yeah, especially nowadays, it's with these apprentices, it's just treat them a bit with kid gloves in a sense that you've got to give them that belief in themselves, believe in yourself, believe what you're doing. And the training can be quite harsh with them, and you've just got to give them that confidence and always tell them that it's like a roller coaster, race day riding. 1 minute you're on top, next minute you're down, you're up, but it's been able to handle it. And plus with success, I tell these apprentices that you've got to be humble with it, appreciate the time, and at the same time it's not easy for them to be able to, at the age of say 16, 17, 18, and you're talking to people that are twice your age. You've got to come out and speak to them. You're riding their horse that's paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, and you've got to come out like a senior and sell yourself, you know. So all this 4 years of training, we have speakers in for them, accountants, doctors, nutritionists, fitness gurus, and just all to put it all together, so by the time they come out of their time, they're on their way and know how to cope with the world.
Certainly there's a lot behind the scenes, like there is on many sports, but that was unfortunately a four rails down for 16 faults. Helen McNaught, very well known in the show jumping world, and she rides at double whoopee, and she's a local rider from Taupo, but born in Leicestershire in England, lived in Europe until 2000 when she actually moved to Florida. Spent quite a bit of time in Florida, 11 years in fact, running a 30-horse barn there, but married international Kiwi Duncan McFarlane 2019. And we're very lucky that we have Helen now in New Zealand, and she's riding this 8-year-old chestnut stallion. He's a warm blood, standing at 170 centimetres. He's by Mr. Whoopee. And lovely horse, lovely up-and-coming young horse.
He's quite nippy, isn't he?
He is nippy.
Yeah.
And what do you find the difference is? Obviously, as a racehorse like we do in show jumping, you ride geldings, stallions and mares. What differences do you find between the three?
Like if you've got a good stallion, as long as he's not cold, he's strong, he's hard to head off. The geldings are pretty, it takes that fire out of them and easy to handle, and mates probably can be more honest, if you know what I mean. And then you get the odd fillies and mares, they can be a bit temperamental at times. But if you get a good mare like Sunline, I reckon she had a heart like a lion. And a lot of talk was she had more male chromosomes than female, you know, but that's debatable. But she was such an athlete. She travelled all over the world and just competed with the best. And strong, very strong.
And unfortunately, there was one time penalty there. Otherwise, we could have had a jump off. Frustrating for a rider. I bet that's like you in the Melbourne Cup, beaten by nose, basically. And that's basically what happened to Helen there. Just that one stupid, less than a second, I think it was.
Yeah, well, you just got to rerun it, wouldn't you? You'd love to rerun it.
Exactly. If only I didn't take that pull, left out that stride, didn't spook at that shadow. Yeah, there's all those things. But now we see Mark Brooks. Now, this is interesting.
Brooks, yeah.
You know Mark?
Yeah, I know
he's
Mark well.
Racehorse trainer.
Yeah.
So Mark, I grew up with him as a kid. I knew him as a kid, show jumping, and then he disappeared for about 13 years. He went to the racing world.
Went to the racing world.
And now we've got him back.
Got him back. He can mix it.
He can. And tell us about his career in the racing world. Tell us about the last 13 years he's left us.
Well, no, mate, it's just one of those great guy, you know, he just sums them up, really. It's sort of hard to sort of pinpoint, but he married Michelle. Used to be Michelle Wynn, the ex-jockey, Michelle, and just a wonderful couple, and yeah, not a lot to say, really.
He's always got a smile on his face.
Yeah, well, that goes a long way, doesn't it?
Definitely.
A smile goes a long way.
There's always a grin. I remember him when he was riding the ponies, there was always a grin. Every time you see him, he's got a grin from ear to ear. And it's no different. I sort of saw him yesterday, and it was like, there's that same grin. And he's back. He's back with us show jumping. He's got a gorgeous little 5-year-old daughter, Alexa.
Yes, correct. And as you said, Michelle, she rode a lot of winners. Her dad was a trainer now. He's the clerk of the course at different venues. So, yeah, good racing tie up there.
And look, he was good on time. He was 0.26 of a second under the time allowed. So we've now got to jump off.
Yeah, well, he's experienced. I wouldn't think anything less than for Mark. He's a great competitor. Definitely.
Look, I tell you what, he did a nice little, a beautiful round there, an absolutely skilled round there, and I can imagine he would be just as skilled in the racing world as well. He's had a bit of success.
Yes, but I'll have him on and say, look, I think he's just show jumping.
We might keep him back. Now we welcome Brooke Edgecombe back into the arena. She comes from Waipukurau, the 6-year-old bay gelding Passio Extreme, 170 centimetres, New Zealand sport horse by Cassiano, bred by Charlene Workman from Extreme Sport Horses, and Charlene certainly breeding some lovely horses to cross over to multiple disciplines. And this horse is really jumping. Brooke came up and I was lucky enough to have her co-commentate with me in the metre 30 to 35. It's a family affair. Her and her husband, Oliver, enjoy show jumping and have been involved in the sport since they were little.
That's great, isn't it? I find that a lot in racing. Families just so constant over the decades, the support they get.
It's great to have that support, so someone else who can help pick up the pieces and help support you when things don't go so well.
Yeah, as I say, it's not an easy game. It's a competing game. It's like you've got to compete. It's day in, day out, and it's the expectations you put on yourself as well. As I say, with my apprentices, that's all I want to give them is just that belief in themselves that they can do it.
And funnily enough, that's what we try to do with our horses as well, give them that belief that you can do it. And look, I tell you what, it worked beautifully there for Brooke. She pulled off a clear round, so we have 3 going through to our jump off. Now, I do think that looks like Trudy Mitchell, although the words on the screen would say otherwise. I'll just wait till I can see a closer look of her face. I think it might be. If that is the case, then she's riding Epic NZPH. The 7-year-old bay gelding standing at 170 centimetres. And she's had a win this season for 7-year-old style, so you can see that. Oh, gets in beautiful style of offence. The flick of the tail, the nice bascule in the air. You can see why this horse won a style award.
Today, when I got here, all the racing people I run into.
Oh, really? So there's a good crossover in the racing world.
Yeah.
Well, Harry, thank you so much for joining us in the current commentary box. I was really looking forward to interrogating you and learning all the ins and outs of racing. So thank you so much for being so forthcoming. And it's really interesting to compare show jumping and racing and see that there are so many similarities in sports that are quite different, especially from a training point of view.
Yeah, thank you, Karen. I really enjoyed this. I was a little bit nervous before I come in. But in saying that, no, it's been wonderful, and hopefully in the near future, racing and equestrian, we can do little bits for each other. Yeah.
And look, we love it in equestrian. We love in show jumping, seeing the crossover from the racehorses and then the life. And there's a lot of support that goes from the New Zealand Thoroughbred Racing Association to support their life after racing.
Yeah, exactly. No, NZT are very strong on looking after their thoroughbreds, ex-thoroughbreds, and just wonderful to see them go on to show jumping and good homes anyway.
And that's what it's lovely for people to see. Life after racing, these animals are loved and cared for as they are in their racing career, and it's wonderful to see. So thank you so much. I hope this wasn't as nerve-wracking as queuing up ready to start the
riding in the
Melbourne Cup.
When I was 18.
I hope it wasn't as nerve-wracking as that.
No. Far from it. Thank you, Karen.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Look forward to meeting you again. Thank you, Harry.
Thank you. Bye.
And what a wonderful chat that was with an absolute racing legend, Noel Harris. I really enjoyed that. We've seen some wonderful show jumping today, and it was really good to have that incredible chat and to be able to sort of compare two very different sports and see the similarities there. So it was wonderful. Now, we welcome next into the arena Helen Ensor aboard Zac Tack Carnival. And this beautiful horse is a 10-year-old black mare, tall mare, 170 centimetres. Now, take a guess who the stallion is. You can see he certainly stamped this. We talked about this in an earlier class today. Eurosport Centavos, out of a Distelfink mare. So again, two amazing warm blood lines. But doesn't Centavos absolutely stamp his progeny? The gorgeous white, little white socks, the white blaze, beautiful horses. Helen comes from Blenheim, and she's a professional rider and sport horse breeder, and she is the owner of Zac Tack Sport Horses. And she likes to breed with the world's best frozen and fresh semen, and certainly producing some incredible horses such as this one. Now, they've had a successful season, a win in the Pro-Am in the metre 2030 at Nelson. She also had a win earlier in the season at Nelson in the metre 10 to 20 amateur, and further wins in the metre 15 to 20. So she's come off a few good wins, and it's lovely again to see another mainlander heading up to the North Island to compete. So that looks like it was just inside the time, and a wonderful clear round there. So it's exciting. We all of a sudden have 5 clear rounds. Now we'd like to welcome Joe Bell into the commentary box. Hello, Joe.
Hi, Karen. How are you?
Very good. Look, we've suddenly, the clears are coming thick and fast now.
Yeah, they're starting to, aren't they? They sort of seem to be on a bit of a run now, don't we?
Definitely. Now, as a show jump rider yourself, you're a show jump rider, your hubby rides, kids ride.
Both kids riding, yes.
It's a family affair. We've been talking a bit about that today.
Have you? Yes, it's busy.
I think you've got to, otherwise you wouldn't see your family unless you all did the same sport.
Certainly helps, I think.
Well, now we have Meg Bissett aboard Bewitched NZPH. And Meg also comes from Blenheim, which is great. She's a student there at Marlborough Girls College. And this, she's actually been up to the North Island about 4 times, which is good, competing at Horse of the Year. But this is a 10-year-old bay mare by Orlando and stands at 167 centimetres. Oh, there was a little bit of a missed stride there.
Just heading up towards that scary end of the arena.
So what do you think the horses are seeing in there? These horses jumping in the lower height, a little less experienced, and we've seen quite a few rails fall, walking the course out there and being here this weekend. What's the distraction?
I think probably they're coming up pretty quick, a lot of the fences. A lot of the turns are quite quick off the corners and things, so I think that it's taking the riders a little bit to adjust to that speed of the jumps coming up at them. It's a relatively tough track, this one, for this level of horse. I think that's certainly a bit of a challenge for them.
And we see that skinny, more narrow white fence at the last there caused a lot of trouble in the metre 40-45s with the more experienced horses.
Yeah, certainly you're coming off that hard turn from the top end of the arena, and it takes probably a little bit of sighting for them. And it's relatively high. I'd say it's at full height at the 125, so it's a pretty skinny style there, so it makes it challenging for the horses. riders to get their eye on. And towards the end of the course, you're starting to get a bit tired probably, and your adrenaline's probably dropping off a bit, so it's just probably a bit more challenging. And
being a bit more of a gappy looking fence, a bit more of a look through fence, easier for the horses not to take their attention off that top rail?
Absolutely, yeah. And it's wide and it's, as you say, narrow, so yeah, certainly is more challenging.
Now we see Julie Davey aboard LT Holst Frida. She comes from Clive and she's represented New Zealand numerous times, both nationally and internationally. She was shortlisted for the 2000 Olympics and competed in the Nations Cup in Europe in the late 90s, early 2000. This time she's riding the grey mare by Coleman, and this mare is just 6 years of age.
Julie's had a great season on Frida. She's been jumping really, really well in the 6-year-old series. She's a really nice horse, and Julie does a fabulous job. Maybe just a little bit of an experience coming down through there for Frida, just being a young horse. But
I think you saw it there, what you're talking about. You had the treble, and then within a few strides you had the wall. So the horses are backing off a little bit and just came down on the back of that.
Absolutely, and it's quite a sharp turn onto it, so it comes up really quickly. And this turn's pretty quick too. She made a good job of that.
And they talk about this in Europe, especially in the World Cup classes, and in New Zealand, if you jump in a big outdoor arena, a big grass arena, you've got plenty of room. But when you're coming in an indoor and you're turning off these walls, you've got to keep your canter and you've got to square up your turns.
Yeah, absolutely. You've got to sort of almost have more gears, more
power in the
up,
tank.
yeah, than you almost do outside. You've sort of got to ride off your corners and keep riding. Almost faster, or not faster, but with more impulsion, more than you probably do outside. Outside you seem to be able to run down a little bit more.
And of course these riders are warming up outdoors in natural light, and they come into the indoor with the distraction of people, and there's people up high. Horses don't tend to like things being up above them because, there's some people waving their hands. That horse was very good there.
Wasn't he?
That could have spooked most unicorns.
Yeah. But they actually seem to come into this arena and really settle. Most of them love it, and they love jumping on the surface, and it's a really nice arena for a horse to be in. They seem to really enjoy jumping in it as a rule. They do tend to like it, but they certainly settle more the more they go in it and the more mileage they have inside.
Yeah, and Tara Gow's doing a wonderful job here aboard Double J Image, the 8-year-old bay mare by Repacharge, 162.5 centimetres. They've had some good wins at the Waikato Premier Show and the Junior Riders Series, and also at Takapoto just last month.
Yeah, Tara's had a really great season on this horse actually, and she's super competitive in the juniors, and she's a great kid, Tara, and she's also a polo cross representative. She's very good at polo cross, so there you go.
There we go. She is talented, and she is going to jump up and give us another jump off. So that now brings us to 6 in the jump off, which is pretty exciting, with 52 combinations approximately in this class. We're up to number 38. So we're getting through them. And now we have Samantha Lee Wakeling aboard BMW Braveheart, and she's a student just aged 14 years of age from North Auckland, and her highlights this season have been winning numerous mini-prix and Super Series classes, including Rotorua in the Spring Show, and also in Auckland at Woodhill Sands. She was 5th in the pony metre 20 speed at the North Island Champs as well, but now in the hat ring, and it's lovely to see these riders jumping in both the ponies and the hat ring, which isn't easy.
No, not at all. And Sam's just making her way onto the horses this season, so she's going really well. She's gone really well on the ponies over the last couple of years, so she's a very good little rider and very talented.
And comes from a good, strong jumping family.
Sure does. Bruce is a dad, and he's done a lot of jumping. And Mum Michelle, she actually rode this horse in the 5-year-old at the Horse of the Year last year, Mum Michelle, so no, she's taken over the reins very nicely.
Well, Michelle was our first clear round in this class today.
That's right, so it's pressure's on, isn't it?
It's a shame that her daughter's not going to be in the jump off with her. Unfortunately, just the 4 faults there. That is a shame, but this is a lovely Bravado Ego Z young horse for the future.
Certainly is. And great to have that experience for Sam to be out there and riding a track like that is good mileage and a good experience for her.
Definitely. Indoors with that giant screen as well, which is quite a distraction.
Yeah, it is.
And now to another young lady who we all know very well, very accomplished rider, Bri Burnett Grant, just 20 years of age, Fibre Fresh Casala. She's had more wins in her life than some riders will have in their entire career, and she's only 20.
That's it. She is certainly amazing.
She was the Olympic Cup winner back in 2018. I think she's the youngest to ever win the Olympic Cup, which is the Horse of the Year title class. She's won so many. She's won World Cup qualifiers at the metre 60, the Premier League Young Riders, Pony Grand Prix Series. She has made it look easy transitioning from ponies where she won everything to horses where she's just about think she's won everything.
That's it, hasn't she? She's certainly made a transition up through the grades, and she's a beautiful rider to watch.
Beautiful rider, balanced, fantastic, works hard with her coach Jeff McVean, puts in the hours, and anyone who's ever worked with Bri says she's so dedicated, she deserves it.
Oh, she works and works and works. She is a really hard-working girl. She's a lovely girl, Bri. She works for all of it. She's super.
She is, and she's always had a good head on her shoulders. At the age of 10, when I first met her, I remember thinking, crikey, you're going places.
It was always inevitable, wasn't it?
She could be the Prime Minister of New Zealand, I think. She's got a good head on her.
She sure does. She's a great girl.
But she's riding the 6-year-old bay mare, 170 centimetres, a warm blood bred by her mother Karen, and this warm blood by Canaan out of a Casal. So what's super breeding?
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, Karen's doing a great job with her little breeding program that she's got going here in Taupo, so she's going well.
Well, she's got to keep the horses coming thick and fast for this talented daughter as we see her join the great group of clear rounds. There's 7 now in our jump off. It's awesome to see Briar in that, because do you know what makes this exciting? Briar will give this jump off one almighty boost.
She sure will. Actually, every single one of those people in the jump-off is going to give it a good run, I reckon. It's going to be really exciting. It's
going to be one after the other. I mean, you've got Mark Brooks there, who he was, untouchable at times, years ago when he was in his jump-offs.
That's right.
This is unfortunate.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate.
I think she looks just as shocked as we are. Olivia Newsome, very experienced, successful, riding Zoe, just came into fence 1. What happened?
It looked like she just had a little miscommunication there, didn't they? And just parted company, but both of them are all right. There's a little whoopsie there. Just didn't quite have the right communication there. It's quite hard getting onto that fence 1. It's not an easy fence to get to. You've got to be riding quite forward to it, and there's quite a lot for the horses to look at and get distracted. Quite a few of them are having this down, aren't they?
They are, and I think, like you said, you come off that sort of square turn, you keep your canter going, the rider's looking ahead, but the horse might just be looking at the crowd, looking at whoever's standing there, someone walking by, a distraction. Because when you're in this proximity, there's no depth, so beyond that jump to the wall is a finite area, and anyone walking in that or standing there can be quite distracting to these horses, and these horses aren't experienced at this in the indoor.
That's right, and also the in-out gate is right there, so perhaps they can take their eyes off the fence and just glance out, and that could be enough just to ruin your distance down to the fence and ruin your rhythm and your canter.
It's always very disappointing, but we've all been there, and now we welcome Amara Green into the arena aboard LC Underberg. Another wonderful horse by Lindbergh, the stallion Lindbergh. This is a 13-year-old chestnut standing at 162.5 centimetres. Amara comes from Albany, where she goes to Pernhurst School, and is a very dedicated rider, but she also enjoys socialising and orienteering.
Oh, it's a bit of a mix of sports, isn't it?
Eclectic mix.
Isn't it? Orienteering.
Yes.
I suppose you're finding your way around that as well, aren't you? It's just like finding your way around the course.
Exactly. But these Lindbergh horses, this is a horse that looks just like the sire, isn't he?
He sure does. And this was Laura Hillhorse, previous rider on this, and she had a great time with him. He's a super horse. It's lovely. Ooh. Just, again, one of those miscommunications, just didn't quite get the striding down through that line there. It's a bit of a bendy line off that Oxer, and they're heading up towards the top end of the course where they sometimes want to back up a bit, and probably just got a miscommunication.
And for those that aren't familiar with horse riding, maybe joining us for the first time, you often watch us and think, well, what exactly are the riders doing? So talk us through, Joe, what as a rider is actually going on? Riders have to sit so still, so it looks like we're doing nothing. But what actually are they doing to set the horse up?
Well, it's a lot about balance, isn't it, Karen? You know, it's setting them up, using your leg and your body position and your hand, and trying to just sit them into the right balance so that they can meet the fence at the right distance, and be able to clear it most easily. But also, again, it's about keeping that rhythm of the canter, which you were talking about earlier, and that's very important because that helps you meet that distance correctly as much as possible.
And then we talk about meeting that distance. We say riders have to have their eye in. Talk us through exactly what that complicated exercise is about.
Equestrian terminology, show jumping terminology. Well, it's all about taking off at the right point to enable the horse to bascule up and jump over the fence as clearly as it possibly can. And so it's the job of the rider to get that horse to the right point, and using your body and your eye to and the rhythm of the canter to get them to that correct point.
And there's a lot of that going on. You're constantly, it's like a little mathematical juggle. The horses should go on a 12-foot stride, and as you're cantering a fence, 12 foot, 12 foot, 12 foot, you hope it comes up right so that you're taking off at the exact perfect area right in front of that fence. So you're dealing with inches, and inches make all the difference. And, you know, when you're sitting on a 500-600 kilo animal, inches can certainly get lost in defeat.
That's right.
You can make a horrible mess.
That's right. And when you see a rider like Jessie Linton, they make it look so easy, and
exactly.
You know, it's much harder for for some than others, and Jessie certainly every time makes it look pretty easy.
He does, and you certainly see that. And this is Beau Baloo that he's riding, a 7-year-old, 167.5 centimetre thoroughbred warm blood cross by Baloo Duru. And
he just made his horse move up there, sort of hang a bit coming around the corner, and he just used his leg to move it forward and move it up and keep it moving on. And just there, it didn't probably jump up high enough, I think.
Looked like a little hesitation in the middle there, like a little miscommunication. And that's the thing, riders are communicating through their seat, through their leg, through their hand, and through their position of their shoulder to their hip. And then their voice sometimes as well.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a lot of communication going. And these horses are supposed to differentiate and understand all that and get it right. I mean, they're an incredible animal.
It is amazing, isn't it? And I suppose it's the job of the rider to provide the horse with information and provide them with the correct information at the right time to enable them to do the job we're asking of them.
So riders have actually gone and they've walked this course before, and so we learn our horses striding, don't we? You know, we talk about a 12-foot stride, but some naturally have a very long stride and others a shorter stride. We walk the course, and then in theory we can plan what we need to do to make the striding work for our horse.
Absolutely.
Well, Bernard Denton is an experienced rider, fortunately having the first down, frustrating, but he's aboard BSF I Am Walter. Bernard himself had a wonderful little mare, Suzuki, who used to fly around the metre 60 tracks, but this is obviously another young horse he's bringing through, 10-year-old Chestnut Gelding, 177.5, so a big boy by Windale Trumps. And Bernard's busy. He's actually a farrier by trade, but he's had a lot of success at Basin Fielding. He's a farrier and trainer, but he's won World Cup finals, 2009, 2011, and he's had an incredible career.
He really has. Yeah, Suzuki was a fabulous horse that he had, and it looks like Bernard's just going to retire today. I think BSF I Am Walter didn't really look like he wanted to leave the fences up for Bernard today, so I think that he decided to call it a day and come back for another turn another day.
That's right, save your horse, no need to keep going, and that's Bernard showing his experience there. Now here we have Brooke Hawthorne.
Another super young rider.
Very super young rider, and I was lucky enough to have her commentate for me in the metre 40-45, and she had won the metre 30-35, and now she's aboard this young horse called Fiesta. Brooke's actually about to head over to Australia, so this horse actually unfortunately is one she has to sell. But what a wonderful horse that she's produced.
Yeah, Brooke is a great rider. She's just very calm and considered in her whole riding approach, so any horse that she's been riding she would have done a great job on.
Well, this mare that she's produced so well for someone else to now take forward and have all the glory on is a 6-year-old 167.5 centimetre mare, purpose-bred sport horse by Orlando. Bred by NZPH. So Fiesta, NZPH, and Brooke really rates her. Loves this mare to work with. She's had some good wins. She had a win in the Ultramox 6-year-old series in January just a couple of months ago, and before that had a win at the Northland Grand Prix show. A little bit of a rail down there, but Brooke showing her experience, just collecting herself back up now. Fiesta looking full of running.
Yes, she is. She's nice and forward and just got through there all right. Quite a lot to ask of a young 6-year-old horse. There's a lot of turns and a lot of, like that's hard coming off that turn away from the in and out gate, and so it's tough. And then you're onto a line, and then another fence keeps coming up, and this is a big oxer towards the wall. It's hard.
You're exactly right. When you really look at it, it's just one after the other. There's no room for that sort of catch your breath. If you don't land on a nice stride, you've got to kick on because the next fence is coming up pretty soon.
That's right, and a lot of the riders probably, having to do a bit of seat of the pants riding rather than their usual very, very stylish riding sometimes, just to keep their horses going and keep them on the forward.
But unfortunately, that was full faults. But look, I think Brooke should be very proud of that young 6-year-old. I mean, what a wonderful experience for her to get into this ring, to jump the metre 20-25 with all this distraction, and just have that one annoying rail. But anyway, we wish her all the best for her journey to Australia, and we hope she comes back soon. Now we have Michaela Trott, and she rides Redcliffe's Amani RF. They come from Riverhead in Auckland, where Michaela is a student at just 15 years of age. This horse is a 12-year-old bay gelding, standing at 167.5 centimetres, a thoroughbred Dutch warm blood cross by Denham.
Fortunate first rail there for Michaela.
And we've seen a lot of that. The warm-up and the practice arena is really pivotal. As a rider, what do you do when you know you've got so much time to warm up, you know you're going to be in the ring? What's the last thing you do to try and keep your horse's mind fresh and on the job?
Well, it's always a good idea just to think through when you're coming in, just to think through the first couple of fences and make sure you've got a really clear plan of where your first few fences are, because usually you will have worked through in your mind after you've walked the course and where you're going to go, and it's just to really keep focused on those first few fences, because the rest of it should come up. If you make a good shot to fence one, you should be able to keep yourself in the rhythm and take a few deep breaths.
Yeah, remember your course.
That's right.
Luckily, we haven't seen anyone get lost, so the riders are doing a good job of walking their track.
That's right, yeah.
The jumps are coming up so fast, sometimes you do turn a corner and think, oh, what's next? And think, oh, there it is right in front of me.
Yeah.
Thank goodness. It found me.
Sometimes it's difficult to count from 1 to 11.
It is. It's a lot harder than it looks.
Oh, we've got Tara back again on her second ride.
Yes, we have. WTF Cabello. It's great to see Tara back in again. 13-year-old chestnut gelding. She sits aboard this time again. Another lovely big horse, 170 centimetres. A Holsteiner thoroughbred cross by Caballo, bred by Butch Thomas. We've seen a lot of lovely Butch Thomas bred horses today.
Sure have, that's right. And Catherine Cameron gave Tara the ride on this horse earlier this season, and she's doing a great job.
Well, Catherine Cameron, that's another wonderful name with loads of experience.
She looked like she had a little bit of steering issues there, but no, she got it. That was good.
It's a big horse to be navigating around this tight track.
Especially for a young girl. She does a very good job.
Exactly. When you look at the weight-to-weight ratio, how do these young girls do it? And she's got ears on this horse. We've seen a few horses wearing ears. It just helps with the little distraction, the noises, especially the noise bouncing off in these indoors.
Yes, just to keep that noise distraction down.
And as you said, she's sort of struggling to keep his attention. Look, it's lovely to see a horse still this fresh and full of running at the end of the season, at the end of a weekend.
That's right. Tara actually goes to St Peter's School in Cambridge. She boards there, and I'm not sure if she's got this one up. I think this one's at home at the moment, and I think Mum Sue keeps them ticking over for her. But sometimes she has them up at school with her.
Yes, it's a wonderful school that they can have their horses there. I've known a few people that have been lucky enough to go to that school and absolutely loved it. But yeah, great. We have another into our jump off, and I think he was looking fresh enough that he's looking forward to the jump off himself.
Yeah, Tara loves a jump off, so she'll be getting in there to do a good job for sure.
Now we welcome Georgia, another familiar face, and show jumping aboard Vitesse. She comes from Cambridge, where she is a school student. And this is a 9-year brown mare standing at 165 centimetres, a warm blood by Centavos out of a distal fink mare. We've seen a couple of Centavos distal finks. And again, the old white bling there that comes from Centavos.
Pretty horse.
And beautifully turned out, these horses, aren't they? Beautifully prepared, muscled, well-fed, well cared for.
Yeah, there's a lot of effort that goes into getting these horses to the shows, and the shoeing and the feeding and the grooming and the covers and the everything else that goes to getting them here. But it's well worth it to see a happy horse with a happy rider.
Oh, how many riders do without shoes themselves? But the horse gets the best of everything.
Yes. Oh, good job there.
She's kicking on here, isn't she?
Yes, she's really moving up to the fences. She's doing a very good job. Very nice. Another one, wasn't it?
Yes, that's another one to add to our lineup. So we're going to have quite an exciting and heavily contested. And she rode that quite forward,
She did,
she?
so she'll want to give that jump off. She'll be ready to give that jump off a good nudge. Georgia.
So there's a long wait between riders at the start, such as Michelle, who was our first clear round, to then wait for a lot of horses to go through before then she comes back out. End of the day, the horses are tired. How is a rider keeping their horse on its, going to come back and give the jump off everything when it's probably feeling like, oh, is that it? Are we going home?
Yeah. Well, most of the horses are pretty fit at this end of the season, so they should be pretty well prepared to come and jump again. When you're drawn first in a big class like that and jump clear, you've just got to manage your horse how best, it needs to be managed. They're all different. They're all individuals like humans. They've all got their own personalities and their own ways that they like being warmed up and warmed down, and you just got to work with your horse and get to know your horse, and that's where a good relationship with the horse is very, very important.
Give him an Easter egg and a drink and ask him, please do it one more time. Now, this is Lichelle Small. I caught up with her, had a wonderful chat with her yesterday. What a lovely young lady. And she rides AMS Glenbrook Archie Bunker. I asked her this really tough question because, you love all your horses, and she's got a couple of fantastic horses she rides at the higher levels. But I said, who's your favourite? And she said, Archie.
She loves this horse, doesn't she?
Yeah,
she absolutely loves
him. She said her other horse is fabulous and he's jumping the big jumps, but she loves this guy. And he's so cute.
Isn't he cute? They just have their own personalities and just...
Oh, he's a softie.
Look at his little face.
He is. I was standing there talking to her other horse, and he just gently put his head over the rail, shut his eyes, rested his head into me, and I just sat there and played with his forelock for about 10 minutes, and he didn't move.
No.
Now, he's actually produced by Chris Harris in Canterbury. And Chris has been a phenomenal Grand Prix show jumper for, I hate to think how many years. He's had lots of success. That's a shame to see that at the end.
Just probably got a little tired towards the end there, and those last couple of fences just came up a bit quick there, probably.
But you know what?
Arch Bunker.
She's still going to love him.
Oh, of course she will. Hard luck, that was a shame.
Yeah.
Here comes Emma.
Oh, wonderful. Shuttlebug and Emma Gaze. Look at that trot. He's entering the arena with a little bit of pizzazz.
Sure is.
He's an 8-year-old grey gelding by Senator VDL. Another amazing stallion that Mount View Sport Horses stood, and there's been so many good horses by that sire.
Sure have, and Emma does a great job with them. She's super competitive and she's so hardworking. So she's in here to she'll give it a good shot, old Emma. She'll really be looking to go well.
And this horse was out of the lovely mare Bush Bug, and she's really enjoyed producing this horse. She's had some great wins this season. Pro-Am wins, metre 10, metre 20 champ, all just this year.
Yeah, Emma's great because she's a real competitor. Every time she turns up to win. So she's a super person to have in the class because she really loves to win.
She challenges you, makes you go for it.
Yep, she loves it. She's super hardworking. She's she's got a young child, and she works as a radiologist at Waikato Hospital, and she's got a team of horses. Pretty much, I'm pretty sure they're all homebred. So, she does a really, really good job.
It's pretty busy being a mother, having a serious full-time job and riding a team of horses.
Yeah, she's very amazing, Emma. She really works. Oh. What happened there?
Looked like, was it a spook?
Yeah, it spooked at something. Saying something that it didn't. Oh, just that next fence. What a shame.
Well, you never know what's going to happen with horses, do you?
No, you never do. Oh, that's a shame. And just a bit.
Again.
There's something down there she doesn't like the look of.
Something there is definitely just catching the eye there.
Yeah, that's the challenge of indoor jumping. It is different from outside, and it can have throw up its challenges to you.
Well, you can't explain it to them. You just got to get in the ring and practice, don't you? And
good job staying on, Emma.
Yeah, she had a very good lower leg there.
Just spooked away from something. That's a shame.
That is a shame, and look, we've just got 4 left in this class. We have 9 who will be at this stage returning to the jump-off, and now we welcome Samantha Gillies into the arena aboard Socrates Della VZ. This is a 16-year-old bay gelding standing at 165.7 centimetres, and this horse has had a lot of success. Recently, obviously, changed riders.
Yes, that's right. Jamie Campbell produced this horse. She had some fabulous rounds in it, and I'm not so sure how long Samantha's had it for, but I think she's been having quite a good time with it.
Well, she has by the results. I can see some wins this year. The New Zealand Nationals, there was a win there, another one in Canterbury, and another metre 25 championship. And
she's had a great season.
She has, and she comes all the way from Oamaru, which is great to be another South Islander up here.
Yeah, her and her sister have both been up here, and I would imagine they're staying on to the series finals next weekend in Masterton.
Well, it was great that this show could be added to the calendar.
Sure was.
Another excellent, wonderful show, the baby of Tony and Colin McIntosh, and to put it on here at the National Equestrian Centre in Taupo. The Easter Jumping Festival. This is the Land Rover Horse Meter 2025. We've had a very strong field of 52 combinations. We have 9 who will be going through to the jump-off. Unfortunately, Samantha will not be one with one rail down the last fence. Now does a beautiful jump over that, though.
Sure did. Yes, Tony and Colin have done an absolute fabulous job putting this show on for us all. This is really great to have something of this calibre on down at the National Equestrian Centre, and everyone seems to have really enjoyed themselves. It's been a lot of fun.
Great function last night for the riders, which was really good to get everyone together. It's nice because horse riders are very sociable people. There's a lot of truck parties and socialising that goes on around the country, and great that they put that event on as well. And this event, Tony wants to see it growing in stature and becoming a series. So I'm sure that with Tony driving it and the riders' support, it's certainly going to be a wonderful event that everyone ticks off on their calendar and makes sure they can attend. As we see Jamie Whittaker into the arena now aboard Empress VWNZ. They're from Havelock North. Jamie's just 14 years of age. It's actually her first season competing in show jumping, and this is a warm blood chestnut mare at 165 centimetres by Corrado MVNZ, and they've actually had some wins this season, including 6-year-old Breed. Oh, stay on.
We're on.
Stay on and stay in the ring.
Just that bit of miscommunication we were talking about earlier coming into the fence there, just didn't get quite the right striding to take off from, and the horse just popped her up and out, but everyone's all right.
But the horse did a very good job of helping her get back in the plate.
Sure did. Made it quite straightforward, but it's all learning experience for Jamie, so looks like she's going to carry on. Yep, she's going to
just regrouping,
just get herself back together,
and that's what we're talking about with horse and riders judging. As you come into these big fences, you're judging, where's my horse's front feet? Do I need to move up? Do I need to wait? Do I need to stay the same to put the front feet where I want them to be? And sometimes if you don't get it right, when you're not thinking the same of your horse, that's exactly what happens.
Yeah, and just, a lot of that comes with experience from ring time and going around, and a lot of practice that it takes to learn to get that relationship with your horse and make sure that you're, bit of a pop-up there.
And again, like you said, as you're coming into these fences, you saw this horse back off there. There's the distractions of the crowd, and horses aren't, as an animal, they're a flight animal. They're not a predator themselves. They are the prey. So any distraction in the background, their gut instinct is back off.
That's right. So they put an awful lot of trust in us riders to put them in the right place and do the right thing. But that's why that makes them so incredible what they do for us, really, to go and jump and...
Ooh, she did well to stay there.
Didn't she? We would have probably not stayed on so well, Karen.
She was right up on the wither. I think I would have been, which bit of sand am I going to hit and with what part of my body first?
Yeah.
That's a shame. Well, we see real estate guru himself, Scott Borland, now enter the arena aboard SB Smokescreen. And Scott comes from Cambridge. He's very busy there. I think anyone who's in real estate in New Zealand's got to be busy. It's going crazy at the moment. But he manages to juggle riding as well. And he stepped up to the Pro-Am.
Yep.
And this is a 9-year-old bay mare, 165 centimetres, a thoroughbred by Smokin' Up.
Yep, he's very competitive, Scott. He loves his jumping, loves his show jumping, and he's a good fellow competitor to be out there on the circuit. And he's had a good season with this horse.
Yes, he has. He's had a Pro-Am win, I believe.
Yes, I think so.
And the thing about the Pro-Ams and the Ams, my goodness, they're fiercely contested.
They are. Well, I suppose, the majority of the horses riders are at that either sort of amateur, pro-amateur stage. Most people have got to hold down a job to have a horse.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when they get out, they want to win. So, yep, Scott's very busy with his real estate, and his horse is jumping really well.
Yes, it would be nice to round it off to an even number in the jump-off. We have 9 returning for the jump-off. Can Scott make it 10? Oh, it's looking good.
Very good.
We'll take that.
Good man.
With an optimum time of 76 seconds, he comes in nearly 10 seconds under.
He'll be very pleased with that. Thanks.
Indeed.
He did a good round. Very nice.
Very nice round. And he's actually our second fastest zero faulter.
Oh, so he'll be throwing down the gauntlet, won't he?
He will. Now, the good thing about that is the fastest rounds will come out last in the jump-off. So in theory, potentially giving them a little bit of a heads up there. They can see the riders that have gone before. They know, do I need to be fast? Do I need to be clear? Do I cut inside that fence? Do I go around that? Do I take the risk? So it does give them a little bit of an advantage, but it can also put on a lot more pressure.
That's right. When you've got all that pressure riding on, you've got to forget about it when you get in the ring and just do the best you can.
Exactly. Georgia Milner now aboard Oaks Chifley. Georgia is a 17-year-old student studying a Bachelor of Science at the AUT. She's actually had 5 junior wins under her belt, so that's pretty good. She's coached by John Cottle. Now, John Cottle's an Olympic rider himself with incredible experience. He would have been out there helping her warm up. I've seen him out there all weekend with his pupils.
Yeah, John's got a wealth of knowledge for everyone, actually. He's very generous with his time.
He's very generous.
He's got a lot of knowledge and a lot of show jumping success under his belt. There's not much about this game that John doesn't know.
Exactly. He's been a selector, an Olympic athlete. He's won everything in New Zealand on numerous horses. And that looks like we could have 11 in our jump-off. That's exciting. That wonderful charcoal blue 9-year-old brown gelding has done it for Georgia Milner. She looks delighted.
She thrilled with that. Great round. She'll be very slick in the jump-off by the look of her.
Well, John was always difficult to beat, wasn't he?
Sure was.
Jeep Super Moth, the turns he did with John.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, you knew if you want to jump off against him, you know.
So now the excitement's on, so the ring crew will just come in now and prepare the course for the jump-off.
And we'll have a few less jumps and maybe a hole higher.
Yes, that's right. And if I think I'm right in thinking they might take the last effort out of the treble combination. Yes, looks like he's moving that now, our ring crew. Well, he's strong.
Isn't he? Makes that look easy.
Yeah. Actually, the thing about these rails and stands indoors is they're all very light compared to the traditional poles and stands that we used to use. These are incredibly light. They're probably, I don't know what the weight of the actual rails is, but it's certainly very light, and so are the stands made of aluminium, and they're much easier to manoeuvre around and lift 2 rails like that. In the olden days, that would have been
impossible.
A tough job. But that makes them fall down quicker as well, doesn't it?
You can breathe on them and they'll fall down. So
we've got an exciting jump-off.
There is definitely an exciting jump-off.
Look at the list of names. Who's your money on, Karen?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I reckon Briar could give it a good go out there. Mark, Tara, Brooke.
I think those those first Georges there are going to, and Scott, and don't ever underestimate Holly Rose, because she loves to run and jump. Holly, she's very competitive.
And then there's Helen. Do you know, I think we've named everybody, and Michelle.
Yeah.
You know, we can't go wrong now. We can't lose because we've named everybody.
Well, we don't know. They're all very competitive. That's actually going to be very exciting.
Well, this would be exciting if you could have betting on show jumping, wouldn't it?
Yeah, wouldn't it?
Like the TAB of show jumping. Who would your money be on?
Brooks in there.
Look at the form, you know. But look, we've had an absolute blast of bringing you this live coverage today, and we're coming to you live from the National Equestrian Centre in Taupo. I'm Karen Teague. I've got Joe Bell with me, I'm delighted has come to co-commentate with me. We've had a really big field in this Land Rover horse, metre 20 to 25, $10,000 final. It's been a wonderful couple of days watching these horses in the indoor. And isn't this National Equestrian Centre in Taupo, isn't this amazing indoor? We're so lucky.
Oh, we're so lucky to have this indoor, and this is, that's really down to the efforts of Wally Niederer. He put himself out to really make this...
Yes, he has certainly gone above and beyond to make this available for the riders.
He sure has. And there's Tony out there working away.
Yes, Tony, our show director. Look at her. She's worked tirelessly.
She has, and she's great because she's so enthusiastic, and she's she really wants the best for everyone to enjoy themselves and everyone to have a great time. And I think the show itself has reflected that. And she's got some fabulous sponsors have come on board. So it's been great.
And I caught up with Brooke earlier. So let's have a look in, because Brooke's been helping me at the show and she's had some good wins. So let's take a little look at the conversation that we had earlier this week. Brooke, great to catch up with you. You've got a wonderful ride in this class. Tell us a little bit about her.
Her name's Elsie Holst Andrea. I co-own her with Ewan McIntosh from Elsie Holst here in Taupo. She was imported from Germany, and I've had her now for probably, I'm thinking, 5 seasons, so we know each other well. Yeah.
And of course, hopefully if the Olympics goes ahead, you are a contender to potentially represent New Zealand. What, moving forward, are your plans to make sure the selectors do take a close look at you two?
Hopefully we go well here, and then our next show is Series Final, which has a Premier Grand Prix, which I know the selectors will be watching, so hopefully go well there. And then a couple of weeks after that, we're at Takapoto Show Jumping Estate, where they're going to run a little bit of a mock sort of Olympic trial. Hopefully that goes well, and then, going forward, who knows who will be selected, but that's kind of all I can do at this stage.
Well, thanks, Brooke. We certainly will be behind you, watching you in the ring in the metre 40.
Thank you. Cheers.
And here she is, our very first in the jump off. We have Michelle Wakeling, and she rides BMW Chaco Lily. She's first out. She's going to set the benchmark. What do you think she'll be going for, Joe?
Well, I'd say she'll be going to give it a good shot, because it's worth a lot of money, and that's what she's here for.
$10,000 with $3,000 going to the first place getter, and $2,450 for second. That's good money.
It's really good money for show jumping. We never normally get that sort of prize money, so it's a really good class. So I reckon Michelle's going to give it a go.
Well, she's got nothing else to lose, has she? She might as well go for the win aboard this gorgeous NZ Warm Blood by Chaco Silver. Just a 6-year-old grey mare. Just giving her a bit of a cuddle there.
And that's the great thing about this jump off. Everyone's on zip, so it's anyone to win. The fastest clear round is going to do it. They're just preparing that arena surface, making sure it's all a good stand for the jumpers.
There's Libby Law there with the camera. Libby flies all over the world, taking she's won awards, the most amazing photos. Maybe because of COVID, we've been lucky to have her home a little bit more, but she's just about to head back over to Europe, where she just goes from country to country to country, taking incredible photos of horses and riders.
She's a very talented girl.
And she's phenomenal. She's like the Energizer Bunny.
Yeah, she is. It's good to see her in front of the camera.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, here we go. The bell's gone.
Right. What is she going to do?
Wow, you've got to jump a clear round first.
You have to.
That's your first thing.
But don't take too many pulls.
So you have to go clear and fast. Come on, Michelle.
And this poor horse has got Michelle and us both riding it by the sounds of it.
Looks like, doesn't it, go Michelle?
She has a conservative approach to the first, but a nice tight turn.
Yeah, just what I was thinking. Oh, Michelle.
And that's the thing, path versus pace. You can be fast, but you can go too far in your track, or you can be a bit slower and cut the turns.
That's right. So it's also, you know, keeping up that rhythm, so you're not slowing off and fast. So that helps a lot too, just to keep your rhythm. Unfortunate rail there for Michelle.
And you'll see some riders come through the turn and just blindly kick on and trust the distance will be there. You'll see others go, oh no, I've just got to see the stride before I ride my horse. There's quite a variance, you'll notice probably in these jump-offs. Good turn there.
Yeah, and also a lot to do with the experience of the horse that you're riding as well. You know, this is a relatively green one at only 6, so he's done a good job.
Just the one down, 45.99, and the one rail, so with 11 in the jump-off. Still, you know, if someone goes clear, then they'll also come down to the 4 falters and their times that they have.
Oh, Holly, we've got next. She's pretty quick, old Holly. She's a good local girl, so she'll be wanting to get there into that prize money. And she's a student of Colin and Tony McIntosh's as well. Holly's very busy. She's a school teacher. She's got a young girl, and she does a little bit of teaching of the younger up-and-coming riders around Taupo, so she's a great ambassador for the sport.
And Pampero here looking quite full of running, especially considering... you know, it's at the end of a busy weekend and you wouldn't think it.
Yeah. Holly's done a lot of eventing. In fact, I think this horse did a lot of eventing, and now she's just purely show jumping. But he's very brave and she's very brave, so she'll be wanting to give it a good shot. And he's very careful and very clever. So. And
he looks at as little as a prick, 14-year-old brown gelding, 167.5 centimetres, warm blood by Aldelberg. Lovely job.
Oh, that was a shame. Poor you. Holly.
And that's the trouble, you know, when you're going quick, doesn't give the horses enough time to get up in the air, but that's the risk you take.
That's unfortunate because she's normally pretty clear, so he's just, she probably just got a little quick round those corners.
Well, looking at that, it made me realise Michelle's time was quite good because it was less than a second in it. Even though this horse looked to be going quicker, Michelle was obviously cutting the corners.
She did appear to be quite tight, especially over those first few fences, didn't she? Quite tight turns. Here's Mark Brooks.
Oh, now he's going to be fun to watch.
Yes, he will.
He's left us for 13 years to go to the world of racehorse training, and he's suddenly popped back with the same ear-to-ear grin he always had.
He's a lovely man, Mark, and he is very competitive, so this is going to be fun. He loves this horse. This is a great horse.
And he sits beautifully on a horse. He still looks the same as he did.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is a young horse, so Mark may not... oh, that's a shame. I was going to say Mark may not want to really go galloping on this lovely 6-year-old, but he will certainly be... This could be an interesting jump-off because we've had 3 so far and not a clear round.
Exactly. This horse, you talked about the breeding, Canaan Mr. Blue. Fantastic breeding there. He's got to be looking at this horse and thinking this is one for World Cups in the future.
I would think that's where Mark's heading to, and that's why he wouldn't want to be galloping it too quickly around these courses as a young horse, because he's still building its confidence and building it's still learning. He's just made a couple of mistakes there, which is fine for a young horse, and Mark can go away and work on that over the winter. And that was lovely.
But you talk about confidence. Doesn't this horse look settled?
Yes. Well, that's probably a lot to do with Mark, because he's a very calm and considered rider, Mark. So. That's lovely. Good job.
That was beautiful.
Good job.
That was first class NZPH.
Certainly was lovely, and it was great because obviously he had a couple of little green fences, and then Mark finished it beautifully with those lovely 2 last fences. So that will take the horse will come away, having really learned quite a lot. So good experience for a young horse.
Now here's a very competitive lady, Brooke Edgecombe. We just saw her in the break before we went into the jump off. Cassio Extreme. Brooke talked about, second is the first loser, so I know she's going to be giving this everything.
Brooke, another one that loves to win. Brooke loves to win, and she's a lovely rider, so she's going to do a great job here, I think.
Beautiful to the first. 6-year-old Bay Gelding by Cassiano. Some beautiful Cassianos out there.
Aren't there? So this is another young horse, so again, she probably wouldn't gallop it around the jump-off, but she'll be looking to negotiate a good clear round and have a horse have a good experience, because this is all building. This is all part of the building blocks to turning it into a future horse like her lovely LT Holst Andrea.
It's got a gorgeous expression, this horse, hasn't it? A beautiful front end.
Yes. And she just does a super job riding them, Brooke. She's just soft and careful. And
I love that.
This is lovely.
She's right. She's really not wasting any time out there. She's balanced, but she's not wasting any stride. She's just coming through a turn and riding forward, bounced off that fence there. My heart's in my mouth.
Come on, Brooke. Good girl.
Yes.
First clear.
I'm quite excited about
Did
that.
you
just
notice
quietly.
Brooke's beautiful turnout there with the matching jacket, ears and saddle blanket? Doesn't that look smart?
She does look smart.
Very nice. Oh, that was lovely.
I'm loving that. This is the one to beat.
I was going to say, this is a real one for the future, isn't it?
I think so. What a beautifully ridden round that was. Delight to watch. Now we get this incredible, you can tell, Euro Sports and Tavos offspring.
And Helen Ensor.
Zantac Carnival, a 10-year-old black mare, tall, 170 centimetres, this mare.
Helen's been riding this for a while and she's had a lot of success on this horse. I actually think she produced it herself, and she's had a lot of success on it and she does a great job. So she'll be looking to be very competitive. So this is probably a little faster than Brooks already, but a more experienced horse.
Yes, definitely 4 years more experience in theory, being a 10-year-old.
And Helen's had some pro-am wins and things on this horse, I'm pretty sure.
And Helen, again, like Brooke,
Lovely.
huge experience, in the metre 60 arena.
Yeah, lovely.
But this horse certainly gave that some
No,
air.
her time's, yeah. Oh, her time's not going to be much off Brooks. Very slick turn through there.
What have we got? 47.84
Yeah,
for
so I think
Brooke.
so.
Oh, no,
Look at
Brooke's
that.
got it.
Interesting. Maybe Helen took some wider turns there. That just Brooke was probably a little more conservative in her turns, and
Yeah, I think Brooke really flowed.
she did.
That rhythm and that balance, she made it look quite effortless around that track, especially. And again, riding a 6-year-old, that was probably her goal. I want to give this a nice ride, especially in the indoor.
She certainly did.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's Tara. She's going to give it a go.
Right, double
Look at her.
J
Here she
image.
goes.
Tara Gower, 8-year-old bay mare by Repicharge out of an Omnicorp. So again, that's a really strong thoroughbred line to see.
A lot of Omnicorps were very good jumpers, though, weren't they? A lot of evented over the years.
Yes, definitely. Used to stamp the eventing circuit.
Oh,
look.
Yeah, she's thrown in her gauntlet. She's going to go.
You
Good
called
Tara.
it.
Tara was very competitive on the ponies and always loved to jump off. So she's brought that skill through to her horse riding as well, her hack riding.
And it's a very different eye the rider has to have versus the first round to the second. It's almost like an in-hand gallop to the fence, which changes the whole ride coming in. And you're striding, and she's doing a wonderful
She's
job.
doing a super job.
Oh, I think Double J Image is enjoying it too.
He says, let's have some fun. Tara's coached by Duncan and Helen McNaught.
Oh,
that was a shame.
That is a shame.
Look at her time.
She went around that white sort of
But
style
she still
fence
had
there,
the time there.
but she had the time.
What a shame. Oh, well, that was interesting. Very interesting.
Oh, well, possibly the fastest four-faulter, if nothing else, but it's unfortunate for her.
That blue oxer has caught a few out today, hasn't it? It's certainly been an interesting...
But she does have a second horse in this jump off.
She sure does. Here's Briar, and she's going to... Let's see what she's going to do. Well, you have to give it a go, don't you, for that sort of money. You can't turn up there and,
Exactly. Briar, Burnett Grant, Fibre, Fresh, Casala, and anyone who's followed Briar's career over the last 10 years in the Grand Prix with ponies and then on to hacks will know that she's so focused, and when she's in a jump off, it's just her and the horse and the jump in front, and that's all there seems to be, and she's very efficient. Coach Jeff McVean, father of Katie Lowry, again, lots of experience there.
Yeah, sure is. Look at how beautifully she sits on. She's so still and quiet and looks like she's doing nothing, but she's working pretty hard to make it all right for her horses.
Oh, very beautiful rider to watch.
Yeah, very classical. Spent a bit of time with Daniel Meach in her early years, and I think that's been quite formative in her position and how beautifully she rides.
Yes, well, spending any time with an Olympic rider is got to be a good thing.
Sure does. But she's also very, she's naturally very athletic and strong for a little person.
She is. A little bit of an angle there at that oxer as she comes around. She's got to kick on to do it. She won't quite do it, but a lovely clear round.
Beautiful round. There's still a big crowd here enjoying this afternoon's jumping after the big class, so it's great.
Yes, there's been a good crowd this weekend. There's been some fun classes as well. Last night's class, the speed class, was fun for the riders' party.
Yeah, and a lot of people who've come out from town who, have never really been to anything like this before, so that's great for them to see such good riding as a spectacle. It's really nice. Good for the sport.
very good for the sport, and we might have a little bit of a gap now because, of course, we have Tara back into the arena, this time aboard WTF Caballo. So she'll be allowed enough time to warm up her horse.
So the riders have to come back in strict order. You can't bounce around with the order. The order of go is the order that you must follow. So Tara, we have to wait for Tara at this point.
So we get to see the beautiful jumping of Briar again, and I'm loving that.
Yeah, Briar did a great job there, didn't she? Getting that young horse around. Did a lovely job.
I think that might be a good horse for the future.
Another one, no doubt, yes.
Yes, I was talking to a coach last night, and he said she's got a couple of really lovely young horses, so that could well be one of them. But Tara Gower will be next into the arena. So what have we got right now? We've got Brooke Edgecombe aboard Casio Extreme, and she is our current clear round with a time of 47.84. So she had a great ride there. Briar Burnett Grant, she had another lovely ride, 49.85.
So we've got about 4 riders to go, I think. So
4 riders.
Yes, so Tara's next.
The 2 Georges and Scott.
Yes, so those top 3 were very quick yesterday, so they'll be looking to be very competitive, the top 3 or 4 here that we've got left. So they may just try and bump Brooke off that top standing, but got to jump a clear round first, don't you?
You do.
At least Brooke's put that pressure on them.
And they'll all know, I've got to turn inside the white style if I want a chance. I've got to kick on, bit of a rollback turn, here and there. Can't spend too much time between the fences. So they all know this, so it adds to the extra pressure. But we also know our horses. Some are better at turning. Some are better at leaving out strides.
That's right, and it's a lot to do with that trust and that relationship you've got with your horse. And
hours of training.
Yeah, that's it.
So if you're just joining us, we're in the middle of the jump-off of the Land Rover Horse Metre 2025 $10,000 final here at the National Equestrian Centre in Taupo. It's been a wonderful Easter jumping festival with show director Tony McIntosh, Colin McIntosh doing a wonderful job of putting on this event with some serious prize money for our riders.
Yes, it's quite amazing to have prize money, particularly at these lower heights as opposed to top heights, but it's been very well received by the riders. They're really enjoying that. It's made some very competitive classes.
Yes, it has, and what a wonderful indoor arena. Many of the riders are saying it's just like being on the international stage with the decoration, the beautiful arena. It's just a pleasure to ride.
Yeah, it is. Oh, there's Mark Todd. He's actually up on the wall.
He's not frozen in a frame jumping. Yeah, that's a wonderful picture there, NZB Land Vision, incredible horse who's won so much for Toddy and for the country, and what a hero, Sir Mark Todd.
Sure is. So it holds pride of place on the wall there in the indoor arena. You can see him up on the end there. It's quite inspiring actually when you come in and you see Sir
definitely.
Mark up on the wall and you see what possible things can happen.
And behind where we're seated in the National Equestrian Centre is the Charisma Hall, obviously named after beautiful Charisma. But now, here we go, the lady of the moment, Tara Gower aboard WTF Caballo. Now, she's been out on her earlier horse and had an unfortunate rail, but did some great jumping. She actually has had the fastest, or the second fastest time, 44.91. So had she been clear, she would be sitting in first place. So what do you think's going through her head now?
Well, she's got that advantage of having ridden the course, so I think she'll be able to use that to her advantage. And this one, WTF Caballo likes to jump clean, and I think she's gonna give it a go. Tara. She's moving up there, which is good. You need to keep that speed up. You just trust your horse that it can jump clear and fast.
Well, she's sitting in fourth position at the moment with her other horse. She'll be wanting to bump that one down a bit.
Sure will. She needs a clear round, and I'd say, the way she's travelling, her time should be good. She's got to jump a clear round.
It is clean, this horse, isn't it?
And she's moving between the fences really quickly. She's got to get this turn here, and this is a hard turn because it's not much, and it's a decent-sized ox. Oh, no, would you believe it? The same fence. Same fence. I can't believe it. Poor Tara.
And a good time. 44.64.
Hard luck.
Oh, she would have. That is, Holly actually had a slightly faster round than that, but had 2 rails down.
Yeah.
So
just that fence has been tricky all day because you're coming off the in gate and you've got to turn quickly up to it, and it's a decent size.
Well, Georgia
Right.
now, Vitesse.
The top three. Georgia's done a lot of winning in her career, so she'll be ready to get in there and win.
She'll be wanting to add another one to it.
And I think this horse loves to jump clean and be careful too, so she's going to be competitive.
She actually had a lot of success with a Kaimanawa from the 2014 muster, Redcliffe's Bill, which was awesome to see.
That's right, yeah, and she's handed Redcliffe's Bill on to another young rider, Anna Wilson, and she's been having a great time with them, so
she's giving this a good nudge.
She is. She's got a good pace on.
And Vitesse is looking fresh. I think
Oh, look at that.
she was
Lovely.
looking like this in the first round.
Yeah.
She's looking just as fresh now at the end of the show. What stamina.
Yeah, well, it's it's been a long season and they do get fit, but yeah, like you say, it's the end of the day. Yep, got that one.
Oh, yes,
Ooh.
turn. This could be it.
Oh, this is going to be our winning time, isn't it? If she can jump this clear, good.
Oh, yes, she left out a stride there.
Right.
44.33.
Had Karen jumping off the table.
I just about fell off my seat. I was jumping there with her.
I'm not sure who was riding that, Georgia or Karen.
The horse did well with both of us on its back. Oh,
Certainly that lifted the tempo, didn't it? Now the
did.
pressure's on Scott.
And that horse just looks so fresh. It deserved to do that.
Didn't she do a good job?
Yeah, look, sorry,
Look at
Brooke.
that.
I'd have loved to see you win, but that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was great. And she did do a great job here. And look at this. Jump, full, go.
Yeah,
That's trust.
She said that there's a chip in there, but please don't take it. And the horse said, I've got this, Mum.
The horse said, don't worry, I've got the scope and talent for this. You leave it to me. Oh, here we go, Scott. You're under the pump.
Yes, our real estate guru himself from Cambridge, Scott Borland, SB Smokescreen. What's he going to do?
You've just got to go for it. And, if winners are grinners, aren't they?
That's right.
There's nothing you can do.
Oh,
He's moving.
kicking on.
You've got to, because
He did a good job there. Kicked
Lovely.
on, but then got this horse without any fight. Came straight back to him and popped over that fence.
certainly got a lot of adjustability, doesn't it?
Oh, look, there's like a bell
Good
racer.
turn there. Oh, actually, I think Scott was actually a games rider in one of his previous lives.
You are right. Scott has been an international games rider and trainer.
Oh, look at that turn.
So this is almost like watching barrel racing.
That was a super turn he just did there. He's got.
Oh, yes, he's got this.
Oh, well.
Oh, no.
What a shame.
Oh, this is exciting, but that's so
that was
unfortunate.
a shame, because he did get an awesome turn to that oxer there, that blue oxer that's caused a lot of problem. Oh, Scott.
Well, you saw the rider before had a similar ride to that, and she went go, and the horse said yes, and Scott was like, what are we doing? The horse chipped, but then there was no room to pick up the front feet. Lovely horse to go. What a sweetheart, but just that unfortunate. There was no other option there. Punched
and
it out.
that's it, isn't it? You've got to throw down the corner and give it a go.
Oh, good
Hope
on
for the
him.
best. Yeah, that was great.
That
Certainly was made for an exciting round. And here we go. Here's this young girl, Georgia.
Georgia Milner, Oaks at Chifley.
Oh, look, she's got her pace up already.
She
Jeepers.
has. She's kicking on.
She's fast already around the first turn. Now, this is what you're going to call trust, isn't it? She trusts this horse to jump for her. Jeepers, that was an interesting line.
Yes. Oh, crikey, it's got springs in its
Doesn't
feet.
it? Just wants to leave them up. Go, you good thing. Turn. Oh, we're turning.
The ponytail platter's going, get it.
Oh, look at that.
I think I've got to stop now riding this.
Karen's getting very nervous. Quite wide there, but she's got a lot of pace on. Oh, and then this is clever. She's got this. She's just taken about, how many seconds has she taken off there?
38.3,
Well done.
6.03 seconds faster.
That was very impressive.
That was like watching someone in the Pony Grand Prix when they just have such a trust and a connection and they just don't take a pull, wasn't it? I mean, what a seriously amazing job to do on a hack, 165 centimetre warm blood by Charco Blue, Oak Sport Horses, bred horse. She's had wins at Woodhill Sands, Easter Jumping Festival. She's come into this with 2 wins, so she's taken out a third.
Wow, what a great horse.
I'm not surprised. 2 wins at this festival. She's come out and had a third one.
Look at this.
She deserves it. Take my hat off to her.
He just wants to jump clean, this guy, and she trusts him, and she's just into it with him. That's great. What a relationship.
And they know these horses, don't they? He'll go out now, get his rug on, get his rosette, get his pat.
Yep, and she'll be giving him lots of pats tonight, that's for sure. I think he'll be getting an extra bucket of carrots.
before he heads back on his way to Auckland, back home.
Look at that time, Karen.
Look at that, blitzed it.
6 seconds off the next one. And she was quick.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I tell you what, that was an exciting end to our live coverage on Sky Sport Next. We've absolutely loved coming to you live from the National Equestrian Centre in Taupo, the Easter Jumping Festival. You know, what a lineup to have all those riders coming out at the Land Rover metre 20, metre 25, $10,000 final with $3,000 going to our winner. There she is, the big rosette that this wonderful Oaks Chifleys deserve. The sash as well for her.
Trainer John Cottle there just putting the rug on.
Oh, isn't that just lovely? He'll be so proud.
He sure will. He'll be so pleased with that. That's amazing. Great job.
And John, he's out there in the practice arena all week, you know, all weekend with these riders, helping them, helping with their nerves, helping settle them, giving them a course plan, walking the courses. My goodness, he does the miles.
Sure does. And you'd think after all of that, it's, all over. But no, you've got to go back in and get yourself your photos and your...
John's getting the stirrup, sorting the reins.
There's still a job to do.
Let me help you with the other stirrup.
There's nothing better than winning a rug. Good girl. Very clever.
John himself has won many rugs and trophies and just about everything in his time, and it's so good to see him passing that on and enjoying it. You know, getting that buzz, seeing his own pupils win.
Oh, that's great.
And the grin says it all, doesn't it?
Doesn't it? One happy girl. Well, she did a great job. She deserved that. That was fabulous.
She really did. Her and her horse, what a combination. Both of them jumped out of their skins in that round.
Sure did.
So first place, Georgia Milner aboard Oaks Chifley. Second, Georgia on Vitesse. And then we have Brooke Edgecombe on that wonderful round aboard Casio Extreme. Bri, of course, on her lovely Fibre Fresh mount. Look, she was wonderful out there too. She gave it everything. And then we have Helen Ensor, Zach Tack Carnival. Scott Borland, he really did give it everything on SB Smokescreen, but just had that unfortunate rail. But he was our fastest of the four falters. And Tara Gower coming in the next two places aboard WTF Caballo and Double J Image. Again, she gave it everything, but just unfortunately the rail down. What an exciting finish to the Land Rover Horse Metre 2025 $10,000 final. It's been a wonderful weekend here at the Easter Jumping Festival as we see these horses and riders, well deserved, lining up, smiles all round with rosettes and ribbons and enjoying their share of the prize money. Well, thank you very much for joining us. We've loved bringing you the live coverage on Sky Sport Next. We hope you've enjoyed being with us. And as we spoke to Tony, our show director, we're hoping the Easter Jumping Festival is going to become a series. So we hope you make sure you join us again next year. And we'll have more coverage on Sky Sport 9 of the metre 40-45 class on Easter Monday, I believe. So keep an eye out for that. But thank you for joining us. We've enjoyed bringing you this year's action at the Easter Jumping Festival.